What's good, everyone? Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this upcoming game preview. If you want to stay updated in the world of college football, make sure you click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and select all so you won't miss another video. So this weekend, I have no idea why College Game Day decided to go to Lincoln, Nebraska. Based on the optics, that game between Ohio State and Nebraska is looking like it's going to be a boat race. But in any event, we're heading to the Pacific Northwest for a top 25 matchup between the USC Trojans and the Washington Huskies. Both teams are fighting for position in their respective divisions, and Washington must avoid an 0-2 start in the Pac-12. So as we review the tail of the tape, we have a push in F+ ranking between the two teams since Washington is not at least 10 spots ahead of USC. But the Huskies hold a decided advantage in overall SP+, and when their defenses match up against the Trojan offense. For USC, this is going to be the highest ranked defensive SP+ team they have seen so far, and the Trojan offense will be the best the Huskies defense will have faced this year. SP+ gives the Huskies a 76% win probability at home, and with a scoring margin of +12. Meanwhile, Vegas likes the Huskies as a 9.5 point favorite. So Husky fans, I have to keep it real here. I have no idea who this guy is at quarterback, but it can't be Jacob Eason. I remember watching this guy for 2 years at Georgia, and to be frank, he couldn't hit the backside of a barn. And as a true freshman, he completed 55% of his passes and he wasn't consistent. In fact, he barely threw for his average against FCS competition. Fast forward to this year, and this guy is a 70% passer, and he is averaging close to 9 yards per attempt. That's pretty darn good. Maybe he had to go back home and get out of SEC country. Myles Gaskin was the guy at running back, and he reminded me a little bit of Napoleon Kaufman from the 90s. But the Huskies did the smart thing and got some young players some much needed experience. Salvon Ahmed is a junior who is the team leader in rushing yards per game, and redshirt freshman Richard Newton leads the team in rushing touchdowns. There is a lot of experience at wide receiver with Hunter Bryant and Aaron Fuller, and at the offensive line who returned 4 out of the 5 starters from the previous year. Now on the other side of the ball, the death row defense are replacing a ton of experience. Gone are Ben Burr-Kirven, Tevis Bartlett, and Taylor Rapp, who was a 2-time first-team All-American, and Byron Murphy, who was an All-Pac-12 performer, and JoJo McIntosh and Greg Gaines. But the Huskies' strength is in the secondary, with Myles Bryant leading the way, who can play anywhere out there on the field. The Huskies are allowing 78% of their opponent's passing average, which is outstanding, but the major concern is their rush defense. Even though they are ranked 49th in rush defense, they are allowing 114% of what their opponents are averaging. That is not the standard of the death row defense, but it is early in the year, and Jimmy Lake is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. The Trojans are now down to their third-string quarterback, and they are still the leaders of the Pac-12 South. If I didn't know any better, it looks like they were trying their best to impersonate 2014 Ohio State. But in any event, the men of Troy are fighting on, and Matt Fink was sensational against Utah, lighting up the Utes with a 351-yard game last week in place of Kedon Slovis. Now, I think the performances by the quarterbacks have something to do with the air raid system that Graham Harrell installed, which is designed to get the ball out quickly. But if we're being honest, the bread is being buttered at wide receiver. This group is loaded. Michael Pittman Jr., Tyler Vaughns, and Amon-Ra St. Brown all have over 15 catches, and they are averaging over 15 yards per catch. Last year, the Trojans never achieved over 10 yards per pass attempt in a game. This year, they have done it twice, and both of those times they have averaged over 11 yards per pass attempt. In any event, no matter who you have in your secondary, you better bring your lunch. However, your offense can't stay on the field forever, unless they're taking their time and dominating the time of possession. But this USC defense is not a horrible defense by any means, but to put it nicely, they are indeed struggling on this side of the ball. Renowned defensive coordinator Clancy Pendergast is simplifying the playbook to allow the athletes to play fast and not think as much. But the Trojans are allowing 105% of their opponent's rush average and 101% of their opponent's passing average. However, you can see there is talent on this side of the ball, and the major contributors on defense are either freshmen or sophomores. John Houston Jr. is second on the team in tackles, and he is a lone senior in that group. For Washington, they have to be able to tackle in space. The air raid offense will only beat you if you allow a 6-yard hook route into a 30-yard play if you are not sound in your assignment. The Husky secondary must always stay disciplined. I wouldn't be surprised if they play the BYU approach by rushing 3 and dropping 8 in the coverage. For the Trojans, they can't get overwhelmed by Husky Stadium. That crowd will be rocking, and they are not forgiving to the younger football player. On defense, the players must play the next play and not let the previous play affect them in any way. And on offense, the communication between the quarterback and wide receivers must be on point. The computer likes the Huskies to win the game by the SP Plus scoring margin to the tune of 39-27. The Huskies average 6.38 yards per play and they gain 100% of their standard average at home. The Huskies average 4.85 yards per carry and pass for 8.5 yards per attempt. It is predicting the Huskies will average 6.87 yards per play and score 39 points, since the Trojans are yielding over 100% of their opponent's passing and rushing averages. The Trojans average 3.62 yards per carry and pass for 9.2 yards per attempt. It is projecting that the Trojans will gain 5.32 yards per play and score 27 points, since the Trojans gain 88% of their yard per play average on the road, and also the Huskies are allowing 114% of their opponent's rushing average. However, it is projecting that the Huskies will slow down the potent USC offense since they allow 78% of their opponent's passing averages. So both teams are having their separate issues stopping the running game, and based off of the defensive line statistics, both teams aren't extremely disruptive. Kedon Slovis is questionable heading into this game along with cornerback Isaac Taylor-Stewart. I am curious to see which offensive line can impose their will on the other team and which quarterback will make the least number of mistakes. USC's defense is talented and young. They must be ready to handle this hostile environment. But I think Coach Pete will have the Huskies ready to go, and I think they will go to a more ball control and play action offense. In the end, I think they'll make a stop or two on defense to come out with the win by the score of 31-20. And that is a wrap for this game preview. So let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comment section below. Give me your score prediction and also tell me why your respective team is going to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. All I ask is that you give the video a like, also share the video, and if you love college football as much as I do, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated with the latest previews and the occasional highlights. Thank you all for visiting the channel and thank you for watching.